And if you notice, if you come in town and you just zunga around, do you know how much money you spend? Way more than even what you're probably budgeting for.
If you're not arrested for idle.
Even that, you know?
Yeah, you might also end up playing cards.
And why they're going to arrest you, by the way, is because we creatives, like I already mentioned, you have your 3 dreadlocks, you have your cornrows, you have... So to some people, you look like you're just an idler. Yet, yet you've got the brain and everything to make that proves that you're a very, very sane person. Only that for you in this zone. So we're creating or availing this zone for people like that.
But
wow.
I think
yes, Faisal.
I think for me, just I told Eddie here some time ago that creatives are always need. I mean, creativity is not. You can't be sober that much to be creative. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're sober mind and you think you're gonna be creative,
zero.
When you start a project, definitely, if it's a good idea, it has gone through the development process, then you start what we call in fundraising as an institution or even an individual who has a creative project. There is what they call fundraising, and that is if it's a public good, it's a common activity. If it's a business, that's a different thing. So when you're doing a creative business project, you're not asking for funding, you're asking for investment. People just get turned off by just being asked. You just come and say, Faisal, give me money. I'm like, who are you?
Why should I give you?
Why should I?
What is it?
How do I get them to know that I exist? You're not asking yet, but you're just trying to check to test the waters and see whether it's possible. I've met Faisal. I know Eddie. We've had a conversation. I trust what he's going to do. So that trust is built within that asking. Honestly, the money is there. There's a lot of money, and those who know how to find it, they always find it. But then you find others saying, oh, that one is taking our money. Yet you didn't make an effort to find it. We have sleepless nights. I wake up at 2 a.m. to write applications, proposals. I try to balance my office daytime and my fundraising time and all the other things. So you really have to make an effort. The US has just put out a call. The State Department has just put out a call for support for a collaborative grant between the US and Uganda. It's for institutions, it's for individuals, for practitioners that are interested in exchanging ideas and knowledge between US and Uganda specifically. And it's quite between $5,000 to $50,000. So it's available. I talked about earlier about the SCP fund, which was introduced already here in Uganda before COVID, I think. And finally, we got British Council and HEVA managing this fund for East Africa. So the call is almost out. I think they'll put it out in May or June. And when that call comes out, you can apply for like 180,000 euros for 3 years, that you can do whatever you want to do. It's both institutional and for individual projects.
Please share it far and wide. We are live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And this information will always remain there. You can watch the show anytime. You can share it far and wide. And Faisal will be back here. Next week, we'll be talking about investment into the creative industry and how we can go about it and who needs what, where, when, how. We'll be talking about it next week. Until next week, Okila, Faisal KIWEWA, the founder and the CEO of KIWEWA Foundation, we're signing out on the Creative Talk.
An army of sheep led by a lion will beat an army of lions led by a sheep. That's a fair.
Yeah.
So let's be very honest about this thing, and really understand that you need to understand where you lie and where you fall. So it's very important for us to understand that leadership has to be definitive. You can't be laissez-faire. It has to be definitive. You have to be strong, just like a lion. You know, when a lion meets an elephant or a buffalo or whatever, the buffalo and all these animals run away. And yet, by the way, they are stronger than the lion. They are heavier than the lion. They are more intelligent than the lion. They are taller than the lion. They run away. The lion, because of its attitude, it sees lunch. That is a leader.
Mr. Donald Trump, thank you very much for coming to the CEO bench. And I want to ask you, so if you were elected the President of the Republic of Uganda today, what would be your first State of Nation address now as you look into the camera and close the show?
I think my first State of the Nation address would first of all to... I think I'll just close it down.
Don't give up. They say, "Wait, you have not yet grown up, Muzukulu. You have to wait. I'm still here until I die." Is when you come. So how is that happening with you and the young people, particularly where you sit today?
What's happening is this. One, first and foremost, you need to accept that the younger generation is doing things in a way different way that we used to do it. Two, you have to give them the space early enough. You need to let them take that seat early enough, because then they can be doing things way better than we used to do them. Some of us are fortunate, like me. I had an opportunity to work. My first gig in the industry, I was holding the light for guys to film a wedding. You know, it has come from that where I am today. You know, so maybe I should say if I wasn't given that opportunity, I would not be here today. You know, so what I'm saying is, let us give chance to these young guys now. You know, it's not that when you give them chance that they're brushing you off, you have to go back to the village and sit. You know, but it's also good to lay back and see how things are happening. You know, like you've inspired guys. I've met some guys on the streets and they're like, "Hey, I honestly don't know them." Others I probably met when they were so young. But they tell you stories of how they've become what they are today because of you. It really feels quite good, nice, you know. And I also have like that positive energy. That's my wife. She keeps telling me, push towards this, push towards that. You know, but before I used to talk about things, now she's helping me make them practical, you know. So let's give the young guys a chance. They're quite creative. They're hungry. And then let's give them the opportunity, because however hungry you are and someone is not giving you that plate, you know, you might end up becoming a beast. So let's feed them before they become beasts. You know? Yes.
Wow. Faisal KIWEWA, welcome back from the outside countries. You're always traveling. You know, how is the State House, by the way?
It's good. It's getting warmer and warmer. You should come and check it out.
Yes, we definitely want to come there. And welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
Today, gentlemen, we want to discuss a topic that we have not been discussing before. It has not been discussed before. People don't think about it. And we think, as a creative industry talk, that we should start a conversation around this area. Creative spaces in Uganda. Do we have a thinking space for creative? You know, we will start by actually saying, who is a creative mind? And do we have spaces for these people to actually think, to create, to come up with something that we could be proud of? I want to give you guys a context very quickly. when I have coffee or growing cassava or sweet potatoes in the, in the garden, crisp gonja. Today we have crisps coming out of gonja.
Yes.
Before we used to have from sweet potatoes.
Yes.
I mean from Irish potatoes. Somebody thought about the entire process and came up with gonja crisps and is frying it. They needed a creative person to think through that process of how it's going to look like. And they needed somebody to design the packaging of that,
branding,
of the branding and everything. And then later on they needed somebody like Mustaque to, come up with a fantastic video that, make you feel like I want to eat this thing. Yes. And then Faisal will come up with a concert and say, you come and enjoy these things there. So when you go to the concert, you're having your drink, you have these crisps, you're enjoying, there's music there and you're dancing and all of these things are creative people. Are there spaces for us to create? Do creatives in Uganda have spaces available to start with? I want to start with you, Faisal, for starters. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, the concept of creative spaces, I mean, it's been there for a long time. I think in Uganda, we've had an opportunity to have people who have really benefited from creative spaces, although they were not known as creative spaces. They were known as like rehearsal rooms or studios and stuff like that. Because, the content we consume since 2000, I think since the early 2000s, when the Chameleons and the Bebe Cools came in with their local sound of music, they were working in studios. Okay, they were coming from Kenya, but they came here with the music and we enjoyed it. And since then, creativity in the music production has really grown. And then when you look at theater, it has suffered a bit, and I think most of the one of the challenges that theatre has faced in Uganda, or the spaces for theatre have faced in Uganda, is these born-again churches that have taken over these spaces, because theatre was not making a lot of money. Look at the spaces like the Bat Valley, look at the spaces like the Bakaimbira, where they used to perform in Mengo, is it Rubaga, somewhere there? All these spaces have been taken over because they could not afford it. There wasn't enough money for them to pay rent and taxes and stuff like that. But then there are other things that when it comes to creative processes, the thinking aspect of it, when someone really needs to understand or take time off, like writers, like poets, like inventors. I don't think we have many inventors except Sewa Sewa and some other guy who do invent things. So there hasn't been room, there hasn't been really a driving force and capacity for people to have a space where they can go and think and research, because the creative process also involves research. So the possibility of people to go somewhere and have space where they can spend a month or a year when they are not being disturbed, they are there to come up with something new, is really very rare. I haven't seen it in this country. And then I think also for me in my area of work, I don't want to confuse creative spaces with hubs, because hubs are also a different breed, a different setup of creative processing. But from my performing arts area, you can't go to a hub and write a play.
No,
you can't. So when someone tells you, "Oh, we have creative spaces," hubs are very good for engagement, for developing networking. Maybe you can develop a software there. You can do the things. But when it comes to like like in the hubs, some of the hubs you can do like product designing, and conceptualizing and stuff like that. But in the performing arts, you need to write. You need to sit down to concentrate in your own space.
You need to be in that zone.
And then you after that you bring it out. So you need people to practice. You need people to understand it, to develop the concept. So I don't know. We still need to do some work.
I want to dive straight to Mustaque. Mustaque, you have been as the judge of the camera works in Uganda today, as we called you. You said you've switched gears, and for the first time we're hearing that you have come up with a creative space for the creatives to think, not the traditional hub that have now sort of like taken over Kampala and many other cities in East Africa. There are so many of them, but there was no specific place for creative people to be in. Why did you switch gear?
I switched gear because I did a flashback of 20 years back.
Yeah.
Where was I? How did I get to start and stuff like that? What are the hurdles that I faced and things like that? And I've also had a chance to work with the young filmmakers or the young guys that are interested in the industry, and you find them struggling to have that leap to start. You find guys that are doing very good work. He's had a chance to buy or to get a laptop, but he's sitting in his two-roomed house somewhere. Something that he would get a chance to charge, say 2 million shillings. He does not have the base to charge that 2 million shillings, and he's okay with taking 500. So what am I saying? So I said, okay, why don't we come up with this space where we can all meet? If Eddie, you're an editor, Faisal is a writer, I'm a sound recorder, let us have this one place where we literally sit. Yeah. If you charge 2 million shillings to edit, yeah, and you have this space where your clients come and find you, and the place looks the part. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they come, they meet you in a place. There's coffee there. There's other people that are doing the same thing that you do. There's comfort even in the client themselves when they come and find you, and you give them a quote confidently. These are some of the things we've learned as we've gone in the industry. Someone needs to feel comfortable and look at you and see that you're worth X. The X that you're asking for. The
creative work you're doing is worth something.
If somebody puts himself, because the creativity already someone likes you. Someone says, okay, that does good work. But do I feel comfortable giving Okila the 2 million shillings when I come to his home? Why am I giving Okila 2 million shillings?
If I give him the 2 million, he's going to try and pay for a 2-bedroom house.
Like, why am I paying him 2 million shillings when he's in his Kazigo? So they like your work, yes, but they cannot trust you with 2 million shillings. Yet if they came to that space, you would even tell them I charge 3 million shillings, and they would pay it confidently. And then even you yourself. This is how we've grown. I mean, I started off, I told you, holding lights, then I went into camera, blah, blah, blah. Then I was a freelancer, I was, director of photography, most of these big production houses that you see in town. But then I also grew into a production house, so it grows. And then what do? You need a copywriter, you need a sound recordist. So it's a networking thing. That's how this industry runs, by the way. If you try to do things alone, you're in trouble.
Yes.
You see it. So this particular space is supposed to be a home for all the people that feel like, I need to get myself to the next level in the industry. I have my friend, Michael Wawiu Senior. He keeps telling me one thing, that we have this, the industry, especially, he always relates to the filming industry. We're in this deep hole, all of us. But we're trying to find a way of climbing out
to get out of the hole.
Yes. But you see, as you're climbing out, you're stepping on Faisal's shoulder. Then, as you're about to get up there, Faisal collapses, and then there's a come down. So there's all that. So we're all trying to. So we're not helping each other to climb out.
Wow.
You see it. So what I'm saying, let me contribute. Let me avail this space. But again, also the space, like I keep saying, I was telling Faisal already that the space needs to run comfortably. What am I saying? The creatives that we have, especially the young ones that we're targeting, might not have the muscle to run things there, to afford to be there. But there's electricity bills to be paid, there's rent to be paid, there's everything that a creative, to make sure the place is running. So I'm telling Faisal, why don't we split this into two? Let me look for, say, expatriates who can come during certain hours and run the place like a hub, let them be able to pay A, B, C, D. Let's get that and make sure that when Okila comes and is a young creative, we're okay with telling him, you pay 10,000. Because Faisal has paid 30.
Yes.
So it's okay for you, Okila, to do what? And then we're saying, after 6, yes, exactly. So we're saying 6:30 to about 9 p.m.
Yes.
This was the original plan before this whole mess came around, the COVID mess. We're saying so many people out there, especially in the industry, have films, have projects they have done.
Yes.
So we're saying, back to the principle. Let us have that space or that time for the filmmakers. Faisal has this project, this film, he needs to have people to come and fund it, or he needs his executive producers to see what he has done. And we're saying, okay, we have a 25-seater. Let them come. There's a huge screen. There's very good sound. You know, let the crew come in and have a look at their project before it goes to the cinema. You know, things like that. Don't call them and they get shocked in the cinema. Like, what happened to the sound? Let's call them. Let's call the production crew. Let them see it, watch these things before they go out there, make corrections of this and that.
Wow.
So this space is basically for things like that.
Wow. But also, I think for me, when you ask why Musta made this shift, I think for me it's also, I don't know how they call it in English, but in Luganda we say that chikukakatako, like as a stakeholder. Exactly, you've been there, you've done it, and you know what it takes to be a filmmaker. You know the challenges. So if you have an opportunity to offer that step forward, you're really adding onto the foundation that you've built for the next generation, so that they don't suffer the same challenges that we now. So I think it's a very, very significant contribution that Musta is doing.
Wow,
thank you.
Well, the creative industry is talking. Creative industry talk is talking about creative spaces in Kampala. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faisal, Musta, and I are going to be discussing: do these creatives actually appreciate these spaces being there? Can we learn something from, you know, Musta? Can we learn something from Faisal and the State House in Lunkulu, which is also supposed to be a place for us to create and go and shoot videos, and you stay there in the forest, you know, hang out with some animals and, you know, some birds. Stay right there, we'll be right back. But also, we want to know from you, what is your thinking? Do you think these spaces are needed? It is critical for us to have it in this point in time. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from that break. My name is Okila. In the studio is Faisal KIWEWA and Musta Abdallah, aka Prince of Wakanda. Actually, not you, because I might be saying Musta and guys no, Prince of Wakanda, so they'll be wondering. But but
confusing.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm really enjoying the conversation. I want to go back straight to you, you know, Musta and Faisal. Do creatives actually appreciate this new development we're talking about? Because creatives also can be very difficult to understand. You create a space for them to be in and says, so that Musta can become rich. I can't. Do I take my money for Faisal to become rich? The man has already bought an island. No, I'm not going to take my work there. That's another challenge we have. Do creatives actually appreciate this new development we're talking about coming in our space today? That Musta has come up with a space that where I can go and preview my film, get all my people to come and preview my film without me having to worry about, I need to call the guy who has a screen, I need to call the guy who has speakers, and then they bring you home theaters. The home theater can't give you the right sound and the ambience for you to review your work. You get it? Are they appreciating this, to start with, Musta?
Of course, like the saying goes lately, process by process. Process by process.
Yes.
These things are not as easy as they may seem like.
Yeah.
But there are those that appreciate them, definitely. I have had, we've already had the Film 256 writers workshop that took place for an entire week, where we have writers from all over Uganda. They came, you know, and had a workshop there for a whole week. We've shot some stuff in there personally as a production house. We've had Steve look at the place, Steve Jane Fennon looking at the place. We've had the Swang's CEOs, Julius and Benon, have come and have appreciated what they look at. I've got my brother Jose Ajemba, the guy who's grown up in the industry. He's currently in TZ. I first talked to him about this. This is the guy that, you know, we talk about things and see how we can still, you know, be of service in the industry. I keep telling him, I think I'm going to do this, that. And I remember yesterday, actually, I gave him a tour on phone, you know, video of what the place looks like, and he was like, whoa, this is amazing. There's a lady called Solea, she's also in the industry. She came and she was like, now this is the space where we need to sit. Why? Because even the creatives ourselves, man, we are. I don't know if the word weird doesn't sound abusive or anything. We're in our own zones. I want to put on my shorts. I've got my hair. People are going to look at your jeans tattered. Some guy is going to have a rucksack or his bag on, others are putting on.
So Faisal just shows up with his show.
Exactly.
So, says, I don't have this time.
There's places where we go to and people look at you and they're like, and you don't feel invited or even comfortable. Some guy walks into your room and he's got 3 dreadlocks. But ideally, when you look at his CV and what he has done,
this is the guy you're looking for.
Exactly, you get it. So now we're creating this environment where you walk in and you feel at home. No one is going to judge you by how you look like, so you just walk in and this is the right zone for you. So we're creating, that's why I'm thinking they will appreciate this Mpola. These things are new, but we have to get there. They even, if you look at cost effectiveness lately with all this that has hit us, you don't have to come to town every day, but that one time you come, you're okay with paying the 30,000 to come and do exactly what brought you, because now we're coming with a purpose. We not like those days where you used to wake up and just come to and go like, okay, now what's the plan?
Can I go to St. Anthony's? Can I go to Antonio's restaurant?
Exactly.
Go to Nando's. Then you go to Nando's. You're trying to think like this is Nando's.
Ideally, you used to get to town, and you're planning when you're in town. But now you're leaving home and you're saying, I'm going to the hub. I have made the phone call. I've booked space. Let me go there and utilize my 8 hours purposefully. And if you notice, if you come in town and you just zunga around, do you know how much money you spend? Way more than even what you're probably budgeting for.
You're not arrested for idle.
Even that,
because you might also end up playing cards.
And why they're going to arrest you, by the way, is because we creatives, like I already mentioned, you have your 3 dreadlocks, you have your cornrows, so to some people you look like you're just an idler. Yet, yet you've got the brain and everything to make that proves that you're a very, very sane person. Only that for you in this zone. So we're creating or availing this zone for people like that.
But I think I think for me, just I told Eddie here some time ago that creatives are always need. I mean, creativity is not. You can't be sober that much to be creative. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're sober mind and you think you're gonna be creative,
zero.
You're really like.
But you can be sober to
make You've seen great stuff. The great stuff. Okay, people create when they are sober, but you will see where they are funny. The thing is that I think also. I think also the other point on how our people are appreciating these spaces. That we were at a situation where music was never appreciated locally, and people started appreciating it. Because why didn't they appreciate it at the beginning? Because they didn't know that it could be good music. They didn't know that they would appreciate it. But now it's the same thing, and this is a 360. The creative industry is a 360 value chain. You can say you can't do everything. You can't do, and you might not know that you need someone to help you. Like I was talking with Isaac Wakaliwood, and he's like, he's studying now on YouTube. He's studying how to be.
He's on YouTube University.
No, he's just doing his own YouTube.
And YouTube research and all that.
Yeah, we call it YouTube University. He's studying at YouTube University. Actually, he has some great stuff. He has some great stuff he's working on. But what I found fascinating, this realization that it doesn't matter whether you're a filmmaker or you're a scriptwriter, you need someone. And as things grow, before you could make your own film. Have the camera, have a few actors.
You have to do everything yourself.
Now, people tell you, the sound is not good. Can you go to so and so?
It does better sound.
The image, who was your DOP? Can you go to talk to Mustaque? This is where we're going, and I think people will come to the point where they realize that they cannot stay in their own zones. They need others to work with, and I think it's a matter of time.
I just want to take you guys straight to this part of our creative industry talk. These spaces we're talking about here, for starters, how many spaces do we have? I know we talked about not having, but I mean, which are specifically meant for a creative person to go and create stuff. I mean, I'm a TV content creator, master the art of writing the TV content, but you see, I can't create. Sometimes I do weird stuff. I go into the Steam and sit in the Steam, and I don't have a pen and a paper, but I'm recording everything in the hard disk in my brain. Then I come out and I go and put it in paper. Now, sometimes I need to just walk into a place and just, there's a nice coffee there, and then there's this thing here. I can, you know, maybe there's a screen. I just write stuff quickly, scribble things, go put it there. You know, run on my phone, look at it. Is it going to look okay? Is it fine? Are people going to look, you know, view this and stuff like that? Now that space has not been there. But let me ask. Maybe these spaces have been there and we don't know. Maybe you guys have seen it somewhere.
No,
let's talk about this.
No, I think we have to understand that creative spaces are very expensive.
Yeah,
they are very expensive for both sides, for the management of the space, and for the users, the creatives themselves, and that's why there are not so many, because they're not business. You know, they don't make much profit.
Yes.
And people find it difficult. Like, for example, if you want to create a creative mind, you need a space where you're not going to be bothered. You come in, check in, let's say you're going for a residency, you're a writer, you need 3 months or 6 months to write a novel, a book, or a play. So what are you going to eat every day? What are you going to say? And then you realize that the people who would like to have these creative spaces or to go into these creative spaces cannot afford to live in these spaces for 3 months.
Yes.
And creative spaces don't need to be like it has to have coffee every. No, you can also hire Serena for a month and stay there in your room and write.
Yeah,
if you can afford it. If you can afford it.
That is $200 and $300.
So if you can't afford it, then that means that you need to find a place like Lunkulu, whereby we are also thinking about, okay, because I've been in the arts, I know the biggest challenge with our content production here is space. And not only from the side of presenting or creating, but also in the side of sustainability. For me, the reason why we invested in Lunkulu as an island for us to develop this space was I was tired of renting. I was tired of working at the mercy of the management of the National Theatre telling me when and how I can run my festival. Because I could organize a festival and they tell me, no, those dates are booked, the parliament is sitting, there's a special session. You can't have your stage there, and you're not going to fight with the guys. So if I need to continue programming, to do my work the way I want to do it, at my own pace, I needed to have my own space where I can say, I'm going to have my program throughout the year and no one is going to tell me when and how to do it. You know? So this is what it means, that spaces are not there because some of the people cannot afford them. And even if you try to create spaces, you can rent it and then have people come in, then you run out of rent because the creative don't have the money to pay the daily cost that, you know. So for me, I would reckon that if it was any opportunity for people, those who are arguments and they're trying to be entrepreneurial, to look out for spaces that they can afford to have and have them permanent, so that they are not going to be kicked out or bothered. Because I've seen it also, I've invested in spaces, and then after investing it, you've done things, and then they tell you, oh no, we are increasing the rent. Can't afford it.
I know what you mean. I know my entire studio was taken. Everything.
This is where it goes. So for me, I'm really happy. I don't know whether you saw some of the images of the space that we are going to, that we are working on at Lunkulu. And I'm really excited and looking forward to when we build this space and how it's going to look like and how people will be really taking advantage of it.
Wow. Musta, over to you. I mean, there are of course challenges like I've talked about. In your walks of life, did you see some of this? Have you seen or did you see some of these spaces somewhere? Did you ever, you know, in Uganda that exists that you think that it might pose a challenge to you? If not, what are some of the challenges that you see lying ahead? And, you know, are these creatives going to actually pay? Because there's one thing that Faisal talked about, having this creative space and then people don't willing to pay. I mean, then you find you're frustrated. Because I've seen a lot of people frustrated in the process. You've invested a lot of money with hopes that you're going to help people, and then the guys you're trying to pull up are just like, and then the kind of work they are creating also is not quite a very exhilarating, you know, salivating kind of work that someone look at it and say, oh, it's worth paying. And we will get to the point where the cooperative is dead.
The corporate community.
Yes, the corporate community. Are they appreciating? Do they come to, because when the creative comes to you and make these things, do they actually pay? Taking, for example, you had your first event in that place and the American Embassy was sponsoring the film. What was their response? Did they like it, giving you that opportunity?
One, these places are available, but not specific for what not for what we created ours for.
Yeah.
The spaces have been there, And of course, that's where the idea also came up from.
Yeah.
Because we've been to these places, but we also realize we don't fit in them.
Yeah.
Because of the reasons I gave before.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe we can't afford them. Maybe we look weird when we're there. You know, things like that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not our zone. And the person sitting next to me looks at you like, how did you get here? You know, things like that. So we've come up with this because we've seen the others around.
Yeah.
And then what is making ours unique is we're saying, this is for the weird ones.
Yes.
You get it? When you come,
Yes.
this is your home.
Yes, yes.
This is it. Feel welcome. You're welcome all the time.
Yeah.
What is the next question?
Next, are they appreciating? Do they pay?
Okay. Now, unfortunately,
Yeah.
ours was born last year. And this goes back to what Faisal was saying. No sooner had we planned to
Launched
give back,
the thing,
not even launched it.
Yeah.
We were called by the administration of the property and said, hey, you were looking for more space some time back.
Yeah.
The space right next to you is now available.
Yeah.
And we sat there with my co-director,
Yes.
did the mathematics, said, you know what, if we don't take this now,
Yeah.
someone might come and take it. You know what, let's dive into it. So we dived into it. Although we're not like really ready per se for it, we said if we lose it,
Yes.
we're not getting it anywhere else. Yet it's good that it's right next to us.
Yes.
So we jumped into it. 2 weeks, lockdown, pop.
Wow.
Yes, we began with the painting, the word lockdown came. Then, of course, we hustled, did this and that, not giving up at all.
Yeah.
We've got an amazing management. The landlord is an amazing guy, and his team. So they understand the situations people are going through, and they're
They
lenient.
kind of chop the rent for you for those periods.
Not say
No one's
chopped,
chopping the rent.
but said,
Yeah.
okay, you know what?
Yeah.
The first 2 months when we were total lockdown,
Okay.
don't pay for those.
Yeah. Okay. That's
That's
a good
amazing.
sign.
You
That's
you
fine.
get it? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
How many landlords would do that in Kampala?
Yeah.
You know, with all the
Yeah.
hassles, you know, with
Yeah.
whatever is happening. So that even gave us the morale and said, you know what? If the guys that own the property are willing to see us survive, let's not drop the idea. So we continued with it. We invested more. You know, I'll share pictures with you, you know, later, and then you can get to see what it looks like right now. And then no sooner had we started the workshops that I told you about, for example, then we dived into the second lockdown. You get it? So those are the hurdles that Faisal was talking about. So if you're not strong-hearted,
Yeah.
you're going to collapse. Now, the people in the industry that we thought about, yes, you cannot think and impress all of them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You get it. There's people who prefer Pepsi to Coke. There's others who prefer Coke to Pepsi. You know, so that is expected.
Yeah.
You know, but the few that will embrace it, that will be awesome. But we have a plan B for that same place.
Okay.
The same space has a plan B.
Okay.
And the plan B is what I was talking about of
Inviting others.
Yeah, exactly. Having it work as a basic hub during daytime because of its location.
Yeah.
It's a club governor parking,
Yeah.
you know. So the space is really very, very strategic for anyone, whether you're on a board or whether you're in a car. You know, it's one of those places that you just come to and it's a minute away from anywhere,
Yeah.
you know. So we're saying other people can come and utilize it as we grow the purpose.
Okay.
You know, it's good that the
So you
workshops are
developed a
happening.
business idea.
Yes,
that
so
leads to sustainability.
exactly. So we're saying we're building. You see, there's a problem with hobbies. When you're into something with a hobby mentality,
Yes.
and you don't have the business mentality behind it,
Yes, yeah.
it's going to crash on your head.
Yeah.
So we're saying, okay, chino chagala nnyo, I love it,
Yes.
but guess what? We need to pay rent, we
Yeah.
need to survive, and we need to see that it's there tomorrow, even if it's not there for the purpose that was ideally meant for. And then it's new to the people in the industry as well.
yeah.
So they will not just dive into it within 2 weeks.
Okay.
You know, it's a whole thing of, I mean, the workshop happened, they loved the space, the American Embassy team came, they were like, wow, this is the place to be. You know, so maybe we're praying that even next time there's something like that, they
will always
say,
think
please,
of you, yeah.
let's just go back to Ebony and do this, you know. So things like that. And then I like what I've heard about what Faisal is doing. That's amazing. That space where you go and Do you have network there?
Yeah.
That's one of the disadvantages.
He put a whole mask in there's a whole mask in the highland.
I know, he needs it. I mean,
no,
but
we need it because we have events.
No, definitely.
We need to stream.
Yeah, they need to stream and all that.
Yeah.
But I know there's places where you go to and you're ideally closed out,
Yeah.
you know, and you know I came here to write, and you dive in and write, and then the network does you a favor and appears at about 6 p.m. and you do quickly whatever you need to do, and then it's down
Then you
again.
go back, yeah.
So yes, but it's amazing.
Wow.
So we're praying that they embrace it.
Okay.
That's why we also backed it up with the businessman, you know, the business idea behind it. So in case it's not going as smooth as we would love it to go, then it's still standing.
Okay.
Yes.
I want us to talk about the corporate entities, the corporate society. I mean, the money comes from there to the creative art. For a long time, while the creative people are thinking the spaces to create this stuff, you know, most ad agencies are run by creative minds
As well.
and these creative minds handles big projects coming from big corporations like MTN of this world, the Airtel of this world, and of course many others, you know, and NGOs. But quite often they don't quite appreciate the process of creativity. And if the creativity is not paid, is not rewarded by being paid, it becomes difficult for a creative person to even meet the bills of the process of creating or thinking creative, you know, for whatever they are trying to do. How can we, with this new invention of the creative spaces now for creative minds, for people who think, for people who write, for people who are thinking, for people who are, you know, inventors, to now be appreciated by creative people, I mean by corporate people, by people who consume our product? How can we motivate them to say, look, you now need to pay this thing. I'm no longer, you know, staying in my bedroom to create these things. I'm now sitting in this place where it's called an office, where I have a space. The rent
Bills to
in
pay,
there, bill to pay is this, and I need to pay this. How do we motivate these people, given this new, you know, space that we now have, which is an investment in itself in the creative industry?
I don't know. I think what we have to understand that the corporate world has not done justice to creativity.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
And yet they're the biggest beneficiaries.
Yes, they are the biggest beneficiaries. And for me, my observation over these past 15 years I've worked in the arts, I've not had a very successful engagement with any corporate company. Why? Because first of all, they follow populism. Like Chameleon has numbers, I'll support his. Balam has numbers, I'll support that. And then it doesn't really do justice to the conceptual creative art that you need to present. There are so many great artists here that could be supported by all these companies that are here, but they don't find value in it because they're always looking at the numbers. And of course, you know, they kick back. But the other thing is that when we look at the creative people in the advertising agencies, where they are creative, but they are not the final decision makers. So their creativity ends where the agent wants it to end. And they are managed by businessmen. So if it doesn't work for the guy at Coca-Cola or whatever, they're not going to do what? They're not going to accept it, whether it's good or bad. So that's another thing. And then the third thing I find it sad about the creative corporate world that they have failed is to invest in the future of creativity, of where they are benefiting. I don't think there has been any company here in Uganda that had said, let us invest in Monster to train young filmmakers, because they need these filmmakers to make them promotions, right? They run adverts every day, but have they ever caught mind to say, let's invest in Monster, who is one of the greatest filmmakers here, or the guy on the camera, to train other young people so that they can learn, so that we don't get this money that they pick every day, take to South Africa, take to Kenya, to make these adverts. It's very simple. I don't think anyone had thought about that. But they need to consume, and if they find that the quality is not of what they expect, they shift it, they ship it to South Africa, they go to Kenya. So I think they have not done anything, and they shouldn't lie you when they said, when we've supported Arakeri to come. Who benefits from Arakeri's arrival? You know, we've supported Chigunda. Who benefits from that? I think they need to think about the future, and the future is not only just giving money to an agency to make adverts. It's also investing in institutions, in training spaces, in capacities, in venues and areas where people can have room and space to learn and be able to add on to what is there.
Wow.
None of them is doing that.
Wow. Mustaque, your take on that one. I mean, Faisal raises very valid points.
Those are very valid points, actually, Faisal. Thank you. But when it comes to my angle, I have a 50-50 on what Faisal has said.
Yes.
There's a lot of information out there, as you know, for we creatives to consume, or to any other Ugandan, by the way, to consume. I can give you an example of the Stanbic incubator.
Yes.
That's something that we registered for this year as Ebony Heights, and we are attending, you know, the course, and it's amazing. It has opened our eyes to so many things that we did not even think about. Even us, when we're responding or talking to them, we tell them things and they're like, oh, wait a minute, because I think we're the only filmmakers there. I don't know if there's any other that has been there before, but at least for this year, we're the ones there, and we're asking them or telling them things that they had not put into consideration, especially when it comes to our sort of business. You know, so it's amazing. All the creatives should actually think of such courses. It's free, you know, it's free, and we've learned so much from it. That's one. Two, the corporate world itself have got a way they do things that might not be applicable to most of us in the industry. One, most of them want to work with an institution, or let's say a registered company. They want to come to Faisal, and Faisal is Bayimba, but they want to talk to him as Bayimba. You know what I'm saying? So there's a way they do their things because of probably how their structure is designed. You know, so maybe we also as creatives, we need to have, what's the right word? We need to have, or to put that effort, see ourselves organized. I think that's the problem we have. We're everywhere.
And nowhere.
And nowhere at the same time. When Faisal suggests that, hey guys, I have given you a week, come to the island, let's brainstorm about how we can make these things work. One is going to go like, I don't know if Faisal. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, our idea is going to just take
whatever. You see it. So we've got all these kind of hurdles. And I think why the corporates are probably not even coming in to give a hand is because they don't even know where to start from. They don't know where, for example, if they ask filmmakers, Mudiwa, where do they go to? You see what I'm saying?
They have nowhere to go.
I think they have nowhere to go to. Then, of course, we have UCC. I think UCC, that's one of the biggest hurdles we have.
It's about, you know, collect this from these guys.
And that's
unfortunate.
That's really unfortunate. But I pray that we sit with them on one table and make this work. That's why I think probably, and that's the biggest reason. That's why I think the corporate department hasn't come to us, because we are disorganized. What was the other question?
The other question that what opportunities do they have?
Opportunities. One of the opportunities I gave was the Stanbic incubator. Those platforms are available for everyone. You jump on them, you're going to learn a lot. Secondly, we guys already, as Ebony Heights, we've said, okay, what are we adding to the creatives around there? The young guys, these young guys who are camera operators, have been operating camera for 20 years. What am I saying? I'm saying, okay, 20 years down the road, amazing, thank you very much. And I'm saying, we've had a training for one of our clients who brought in about 20 of their team. We're training them visual mixing, we're training camera, we're training directing. You know, so we've got a guy like Shap Sewali, you know, training and teaching young guys about directing. We've got Mehdi who's been doing wonders with visual mixing. Then we've got Pato, you know, Ijobi on camera. You know, so we've got even other people on board, but of course the client has got specifics. I want my team to be trained on ABCD, but we've got a whole entire list of people that are willing to come out there and say, hey guys, Mustaque, if you get the opportunity for guys who want to learn about lighting, I'm available. You know, so we're doing that already.
Wow, the spaces are beginning to give us.
Yes, so we're saying we did 1 week, the lockdown came, we gave it a space of a week, and then we went online. And it's working out. Wow. You know, it's working out. So I think the corporates will find us there.
I think they need to. They need also to commit themselves.
Yes.
They cannot just be like, you know, if you're an industry. For me, this is the what we talked about that. Nabo chibaka katako. They have to wait for
they need to come
to make an investment.
They take the risk to
they
come
have to take the risk because this is their space. We are not aliens that we just dropped and they were like, what? Let's wait for them. They have to contribute to the process. And I think that it takes also the will and the capacity to take the risk and like, okay, what, even if Monster is not doing it, even if Faisal is not doing it, who can we find? How can we engage this community? Because when they walk around and they are consuming this content, where do they think it comes from? You know, if there is no organized community, where does the content come from? The content is there. So it doesn't mean that you have to wait for someone to come to you with a concept and then you look at it like, what? So I think it's important that they should dive in. They should dive in. And I know sometimes it's difficult because also we have to understand that most of our corporate community is not, they don't make decisions here.
Yes, the decisions
are made from elsewhere, Nairobi, Cape Town, or Johannesburg, and those guys who make those,
New York.
You've been on juries where you look at a proposal like now, but you have no context of it, you know. And I don't blame the guys because they are here. They might like what we are doing, but then they push it there, and the guys are like, "What? This is not like we are like there." And you, what is this? So we are not putting our money there. And I understand. So, how do we balance that approach?
I like the part where you say they should dive in at this stage. You see, when you dive in at this stage, you grow with the product and then you know the nitty-gritties. But when you come when Faisal has made it,
it's difficult for you to listen, for Faisal to listen to you because Faisal I did it my way.
Exactly.
So you either listen to
designed a way of doing it. On his own and somehow chikuteyo. So then here you are coming when it's at that level. When you come, when we're still in this kind of mess, it also has an advantage because then you get to learn how things do exactly work on ground.
Wow. Yes. Gentlemen, we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we want to talk about the opportunities that are ahead, you know, more, but also to say, why should they dive in now? Because there's another thing that people usually do. Ugandans are very good, or Africans are very good at waiting for something to be successful. Then they come and, I knew it, but when you are starting it, they say, you just did, I knew it. That's not true. So we want to hear from you. If you're creative, you want to send us your kisses and disses. If Faisal and Musta is doing very well, kiss us. If we're not doing very well, diss us. We're okay. We are creative. We take feedback. And of course, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. We are talking about creative spaces in Uganda. The spaces that we need to think, the spaces that we need to create, the spaces that we need to co-create with others, the spaces that we need to showcase our work before we serve to the public. It is key that the creative thinkers, the people who think about the process of bringing entertainment or knowledge and understanding to us, to actually be able to think about these things. They look crazy, like, you know, Faisal said, they look weird, like, you know, Musta said, but they do great, amazing things. Gentlemen, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
We're hastening to the close of the program. And I like the trend of the discussion. You know, off the line, I was just reading through the messages people are sending. Ugandans don't like to send messages, you know, public. You know, I have a lot of WhatsApp messages, Facebook messages, and And then a couple of them are
self-censoring.
Yes, yes. That's another thing. So I have the first question.
It's a big
to you.
issue, actually.
Yes. But you see, we need to talk. The first question I have here, Mustaque, comes to you and Faisal, saying, how do we get the corporate people to become part and parcel of what we're creating now? And the person says that creatives, the corporate people in Uganda or companies in Uganda, or even people in general, when you are starting something, they don't want to be part of it. When something starts to catch fire and people are talking about it, everybody wants to be part of it and everybody wants to come. And he's saying he hates it that they will come with so many ideas. Why couldn't they bring the ideas when you are starting? When you are starting and you call them, they never come. Okay, so how do we help corporate companies to come in, guys? What thoughts do you have for these guys to join us at this point in time when we're building the spaces for us?
One thing for sure I know is that also the corporates have, you see what happens with what I've noticed with corporates, most of them have studied particular courses and they're in that line.
Yeah.
I've given an example of how we're attending the Stanbic Incubator,
yes.
and we're telling them, we're asking questions about things they're kind of like bleak about.
Yes.
You know, so maybe it is high time also the corporates
learn and come and learn the creative.
Yes, let them come. Let them have a department that sits down and comes to understand how things are this way, because then that's the only way they're going to come and be part of us or partner with us.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, if the hub goes the way we're planning it to go, you know, the entire successful line and program we have for it, it would be amazing if I had, for example, Stanbic come on board right now when I'm still in this struggle.
Yeah.
So that when we are cutting the cake, 5-10 years to come, we're standing on the same
platform with them and saying,
look
where we've
come. Look where we've come from. Things like that.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Yes. I know Daniel Ogong, the marketing director of...
Daniel is an amazing guy.
He's watching the show.
Oh, great.
And it's been one of the people who follow this. So Daniel, I hope that's something that Stanbic Bank can think on.
Yes. So actually, Daniel
is one of us.
Yeah, he's one of us.
Sorry.
Daniel, they have said you're one of us.
Yes.
Actually, Rasby said he owned a creative agency before, so he belongs this side. He should not go and...
No. Daniel actually belongs
this
side. So it's great to have people, if we can have Daniels in other corporate agencies or companies that literally when we sit on the same table, we speak the same language. I don't want to go and sit and explain talk a language that people don't understand, and all they're looking at is, but we gave you 20 million shillings.
What did you do with the money?
What did you do with the money?
The money was a loss.
Hey, what do you mean the camera? What do you mean you had a camera for 1.5 million shillings a day? What is it shooting?
You can just get it. Even the iPhone is good. The
people
camera
out
is
there,
very good.
a guy came and shot my sister's wedding and the camera cost 250,000. Why is yours costing 100,000? The other corporate organizations should have people like the Daniels who sit down and understand the language we speak. It will make things quite easy. They will easily come and see how to join us so we can grow together.
Wow.
Yes,
Faisal. I was directing a movie just before, Mustaque just reminded me of something. So I was called to write a script. So I wrote a script and I was going to direct and produce, and the guy said, what, in your invoice you have 500,000 for to pay the director? What nonsense is this? We are scrapping this, and he closed with a big sign and says, no, we're not paying for this. We've already paid you to write the script. I said, yeah, you paid me to write the script.
Not to direct.
Yes, not to direct, not to produce. These are totally two different things. And I find that very disturbing that you don't see that I'm adding value here. So they decided they're going to produce the documentary somewhere. So I gave them the script and they went. You should see what happened. After many weeks, they came back and says, no, the thing you said in the script is not the way it has been produced. We think you wrote a very bad script, which was very complicated for people. I said, that's the reason why you have a director and a producer. You said you're not going to pay for the director.
So
yes. So now I sat down with the brand manager and I explained things to him. I said, this is how it works. The one who writes the script is not going to come and produce. So if I write the script, I need a DOP. It's called a director of photography. You understand what it means? Director of photography. That means that this guy is going to give me the picture that we need that is commensurate to what the script is saying, and the image looks like this. Do you understand? Yes. So I eventually went back to the corporate company. It was actually an NGO, and sat down and trained guys for 2 weeks and watched it. Yes.
Things do work.
But and this time around they say, you come and train us for free, then the next time we have a deal we will pay you. I've never gotten paid. But I did the job. So over to you, Faisal. So when Musta talked about it, it clicked something in my mind.
No, but as Musta said, that the corporate company, the corporate world also needs to invest their time and understanding the context in which we operate. And as I said earlier on, they don't need to wait for associations or success from other people. They also need to have their own strategy. The disadvantage here is that we don't have a shared vision where we want the sector to go, where the creative has to go, so that we are all working towards that. So it's a challenge for everyone, even us who are in the arts. We are investing money, but we don't know why we are investing that money. Sometimes we invest wrong. You know, we put it in, maybe we just put money. For example, you say you want to train DOPs, but then you not knowing that actually you don't need many DOPs. You need script writers. You need set designs. You need, After Effects people. So we invest wrong because we have no clue of where the sector needs to go, where it is, and who is investing what. So once that is done, my recommendation for the corporate world is that they could do different things. I don't know whether they talk to each other. I think they do, because sometimes
the tendency is like they talk to each other whenever
but they have their special hangouts. They have their WhatsApp group, I think. So if they have their WhatsApp group, they can also agree on saying, you know what, we don't have much money for budgets or marketing and stuff like that. If you have a 10 million, you bring in a 10 million. They can create a basket fund, and this fund can be for the creative, that because they know they cannot survive without the creative processes that they use. So if they can put that basket fund and say, well, let's put up this money, it can be shared or chaired by one of us, rotating, and then we invest this money in the right areas where we need people to grow, to sustain the quality and the production of the work that we do. I think that would really do us a lot of.
I think that's amazing.
You know,
I think that's amazing.
It would be because you
a
can't
basket for the creative,
because they can afford it.
Companies.
They can afford it. When if they get 100 million and put it in cricket oval, or get $70,000 and put it in Arakeri. If they had put that money in a basket fund and say, okay, there's a fund here, where can we invest in capacity for the creatives? I think that would do.
It's actually getting much. That's amazing. It actually become much better now that Musta is building.
So we can apply. Musta can apply.
This year, can Musta have the $50,000 and see how we can make this become bigger and better for all of us?
And we pay.
Amazing.
I mean, I think that's a good thing.
You know, but also, like, for example, like, the problem also, they like doing things themselves. They're like UCC.
So I was talking about the UCC situation where you are the regulator, and then you are the one holding the film festival. I mean, the film.
It's just wrong. Simply wrong, and I don't know where they get even these guts. But I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't dine with these folks. But the thing is that even the corporates also, when they learn about these things, now they start. Now they say, okay, these guys, they have a good idea. UBL, let's start training. Let's create a hub. Let's build it. It's not your job. And
that's another part where they actually go wrong.
They start saying,
instead of looking for the person who's supposed to actually do it,
thank you.
Then they want to do it.
They want to do it. No, it's not your job. They will say, we have a room here where we used to keep crates. It's empty.
Let's clean it and
give the money to Musta. Give the money to Eddie, because he is invested in this. He knows what it takes. He knows how to do it. So for me, if you're thinking of supporting the creative, please don't do it yourself, because you don't know how to do it. What you can do is find a good heart in you as a company, put the money and give it to the right people, and you can decide where you want it to go. Depending on your needs.
You come and sit with them.
Sit with them and decide where you want your money to go. That will be a contribution.
I think that's amazing.
Wow.
The basket.
Wow. The basket is the corporate basket. The corporate basket. We need to start with this. And I think, guys, we just need to, first of all, people like, Tony Otoa, of Standing Bank Business Incubator. I think we should come up with the idea and call Otoa Tony here and say, you know, we can start from here. I think the idea of the basket for me is
amazing.
big, it's amazing,
Yeah,
where creativity can do. Because if government is not doing it, then the private entity can start.
Yes.
And it's something that can build us to go forward and grow the market.
But again, we are the government.
Yes. And we always think that
for me, the justification of this is not even something that they need to discuss.
Yes.
The justification of it, like they have communication budgets,
Yes.
they have marketing
Yes,
budgets,
yes, all the
they
things
have
that- yes.
CSR budgets.
Yes. Can it be one of those they add onto the
yeah,
list?
exactly. MTN, wherever. If you can say we have a budget of 10 million for CSR or for marketing, just get 5 million. Let's Stanbic top up, Standard Chartered top up. At the end of the year, you'll find that you're having 100+ millions that you can say, okay, guys, apply.
To direct this to this.
Apply for this fund. And then it will be used very well. And it will be open to anyone.
Yes.
But not this selective way of like, you know, I work with so and
so,
so, you know, like.
No. There's this part you're forgetting, Faisal and Mustaque. This part where the guy works with you for 1 or 2 projects. The next thing he does, he goes and gets his cousin or his nephew, and then he's created a company on the side, and his nephew starts to run and he channels things to go there.
Yes.
And then he says, now, next time you're going to call Mustaque to come and work from here. It's not going to work because Mustaque is going to be very frustrated because, first of all, he's a senior DOP going to work with a young person who is not willing to learn, and you've entrusted him with a lot of money, and now he thinks that he can control what Mustaque is saying. So you're not going to end up with a very good product for that matter. And I think it's something that we need to change going forward. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to the show. We can talk until the chicken come out, like we say in Africa, but we're going to bring this show to an end. I want to start from you, Mustaque. What's your parting shot today? What should we take from you today?
Let's support each other. This industry is a whole let's support each other. The industry is an entire network. It's networking. It's networking. Don't stand out and say, Zendi Wakabi, I can do this alone. No. Let's network. For example, I need Faisal. I need to have that space in case I need to film something at an island. Faisal is here. If I need good cameras, I know there's Solo. When I need to have space like this, I'll call Eddie. You know, when you need creative space and a hub-like area, you'll say, but Mustaque is there. You know, so it's everyone. You know, so thank you so much. Let's make this work, and then corporates. Come join us. Come join us. Let's make this work. Let's make this happen.
Faisal?
Yeah, I think for me that you know, the need for creative spaces is more urgent than before. Now we have been in a very bad situation where the world has been suffering. We are coming back. Many people have been creating, writing stuff. They need to produce that stuff. They need to create that content, and there is no space for them. A space where they are going to feel comfortable, not stressed, but they will just be there as settled and creating the content that we need. So the investment to make those things realistic is what is lacking. And it's not going to be a one-man's job. It's not. We don't want to put the burden, because at the end of the day, we all enjoy the content that comes out of it. So let's work together, as Mustaque said. Let's work together. Let's network. Let's not be like, it's my own thing. I think it's, if we jointly and have this shared vision, as I always tell you, we need to have this shared vision and carry it along together. There will be better as good as we can.
Wow, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the show. I want to say thank you very much, Mustaque, for coming, and Faisal for coming, and to all of you guys out there, thank you very much for being part of the Creative Industry Talk, Growing Big and Better. It did not exist before. We needed to start from somewhere. And now we have a platform for us to talk, for us to share ideas. I have, of course, seen some of the messages coming here. Can we discuss how the corporates can actually be part of these creative spaces going forward? How can we better bridge the gap between the corporates and and the creatives? Perhaps the votes are going to work, and of course we would like to bring back Mustaque back on the show and Faisal back on the show to actually show us. People want to see, the creative spaces that you're talking about, what you guys are doing. And somebody said it would be good to do a great deal of understanding what they're doing, and if they come back, and then we can show us the place. So we'll probably come back and then discuss how can we brainstorm, how can corporate come and join us? What are the ideas? Where do we start from? Maybe we'll probably place a 1 or 2 corporate at at the UA Bonnie's place,
Yes.
and maybe put one to Faisal in Lunkulu and say go to Lunkulu. Maybe give Faisal a boat to be able to transport us there all the time, and you know, we will bring them back to the show. But otherwise, we want to say thank you very much, guys. And until next week, Creative Industry Talk, we'll be back and we'll discuss what are the opportunities ahead for the corporate companies, and we'll dive into it. Until then, stay fixed, stay right there. Creative Industry, signing out. Eddie Okila, Faisal KIWEWA, and of course, Mustaque Abdallah. We're out. Blessed. Young people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
For me, leadership is a privilege of moving people towards a destiny. And for me, it would be towards God's agenda. That's the best, moving people to God's agenda. God has an agenda for everybody. And I know some people say, oh, it's too much of God, but God has a plan for this world. And so whether you're in business, you're a medical personnel, if somebody came to you, a good medical leader says, I want you not only to be healed, but to be healthy. That's the kind of mindset that I see, and it's about self. So if you ask me, am I a leader? By the grace of God, I am a leader, and I am growing as a leader. And I thank God for that privilege of being a leader. And who is a leader to me? It's very simple. Someone that has a vision, but is also someone that is there serving people. For me, that's a leader. Vision is where you want to take things. Serving is the recognition that if the things do not matter to people, drop them.
Wow.
Drop them. Because at the end of the day, whatever we do must make a difference in people's lives. Anybody who has had huge impact in history, in leadership, the impact is not measured by just the things they did, but what those things did for people's lives. Did they make a difference? So it's useless for you to make so much money and the money does not add value to people's lives.
Wow.
So for me, yes, you have to have a vision, and at the end of the day, you are serving people. It doesn't change. Leadership is leadership, whether it is at what we would call a lower level or a top level. Leadership is leadership. It's about influence. It's that influence that comes from you have a vision and you are serving people. So what changes is the level of responsibility, but the other one that people don't like is the level of accountability. You see, Jesus said, to whom much is given, much will be required. So the only differences there is the level of responsibility. When you're at the national level, you are now responsible for an entire nation. When you are a CEO, now you're no longer just looking at the department, you are looking at the entire entity. The responsibility has changed, the accountability even goes higher. Hi, this is Julius Wotlonyo, pastor at Watero Church. Thank you so much for tuning into House of Talent Television. It's a great, innovative way of doing TV, and particularly for being a part of the CEO bench, talking about leadership. You know what, friends? Leadership can be tough. Leadership can be lonely, and the dynamics of leadership keep changing. I want to encourage you, watch the CEO bench so that you can get to hear real practical tips on leadership from people who are actually practicing leadership. Once again, thank you for being a part of the CEO bench right here on House of Talent Television.
Very good afternoon, very good morning, depending on where you're watching from in the world. Welcome to House of Talent Television. My name is Ateng Emmanuel, and this is the Coffee Break. Remember, you can catch us on House of Talent Television on all social media. You can catch us on House of Talent Television live on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Facebook. Welcome to the Coffee Break. And in the studio with me today is a man we like to call the Coffee Messiah. I know it's a name that he doesn't like, but he's the Coffee Messiah, Mr. Amon Mukisa. Welcome back to the show. It's been a very long time, since I last spoke to you and saw you. How have you been? How have you been in the lockdown? What has been happening? Are there new? You might have gotten married and we don't know about it.
The lockdown has come with a lot of things, a lot of innovations, a lot of thinking how you get out of it. But anyway, I'm happy to be here and always glad to be on the show. Though it's always a hard spot to be seated in this seat.
Well, I guess you're in the right place for now.
I'm sure, but when it's coffee, I'm always in the right place.
Yeah. So you can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, like I said, and Twitter. Send us your comments, anything you want to ask us. Remember, this is the Coffee Break where we get to talk everything about coffee. Now, Amon, I know that the lockdown has been on since 2020. We had the first lockdown, and that was a really long lockdown. Then we had the second one, and now the third one that is about to end. I think it's just a week for it to go. And I know that in all this time, you as a barrister, have been having some issues where I think now you don't go to work every day. You go to work once in a while. And this has had an effect on you, It could be positive, it could be a negative effect, So how has the lockdown affected you in relation to, being a barrister, in relation to your finances, and in any other aspect?
Well, Emma, to be honest, I've been reading about this whole thing of over 21 million people who grow coffee on a small scale. They provide over 8% of the world's coffee. So I'm trying to imagine this number of people who are producing now this coffee to brew it, and now they can't be able to bring it because they know when they bring it, it will be just stuck where? In my coffee shop. So as a barista, I'm having a challenge of putting out this coffee, because I have farmers who send coffee to our coffee shops because they expect us to brew this coffee because they think people are taking coffee. Yes, the reality people are taking coffee, but not as much as they used to take coffee before the lockdown. And in the first lockdown, it was a bit okay. People thought that they would go back to work and they used to spend more of their money. But when this second lockdown came into Uganda, the 42 days, man, it's been crazy because most of people have spent their money like crazy. And now they imagine buying coffee at 20K or 30K, a bag of coffee, which is going to last maybe like for a week, which means you're going to spend over 60K in 2 weeks, and that's a lot in Ugandan money, and especially these days. We've been having a conversation of someone saying that people is for the rich, but the fact is, coffee is not only for the rich. There's someone who needs coffee like every day, but they don't have that kind of money to buy that coffee. But a rich person has the ability to get that coffee from wherever he wants. He can order for coffee via maybe Express, Alibaba, as long as he needs that good coffee for him, because he's able to get what he needs. But this one person who's not able to get that cup of coffee, which he or she has been getting on 7K or 80K a day, and you're telling them to buy maybe 2 bags of coffee in 2 weeks. That's hard on me as a person also, because now I'm getting to lose these clients who are getting their coffees to be made at home. Google has had a spike in people who are searching for how to make a perfect cup of coffee at home. How do I make coffee at home? Like, there are a lot of search engines that are showing that, like Google, when you go into Google and you type in how to make coffee, it will bring a lot of articles, which means people are drinking coffee in their homes, but the real question is, are they drinking the good quality cup of coffee they have been taking in coffee shops, and are they going to miss it?
Well, I like how you took us all the way down to the farmers, people who actually grow the coffee. Now, we need to understand that the lockdown affected even those people, but it didn't affect them as much as let's say the baristas or the CEOs, okay? Farming was allowed to continue, okay? And I believe that the coffee farmers continued with their activities. But now, I think there is like a break, so to speak, okay, between now the growers and you, the baristas and the CEOs, okay? Because now, even if they get the coffee to you guys, as you were talking about it, you're not using it as much as you were doing before, okay? Which means now there is also a problem on their side. So how has this affected that process? Because we have a tree to cup process, okay? How has the lockdown affected that process?
You see, Emma, it's funny how you allow something to go on, that's farming to go on, but you're putting a stampede on where that result of farming is going to go. Like, you've allowed farmers to grow in coffee or to keep doing farming. And you're putting a stampede on the coffee business. We're talking about coffee roasters, we're talking about coffee shops, we're talking about coffee exporters. Because you want me to come and buy that coffee, or you want this person who's dealing in the coffee business to come and get his coffee, to use it whatever he wants to use it. To speak about, as a barista, I've been affected in a way that, first of all, I've lost my touch or my experience with my favorite clients. You know, they just give you a call, you know what, Emon, I want to make this and this and this, but how best should I make it? Yes, you're going to explain to them, but man, there's that experience when you, just like the one I'm having this chat with you, that's an enormous experience. So I'm losing that. And secondly, bored. You know, when people are very many in coffee shops, because there are these people who wake up early in the morning and come to coffee shops, have their cup of coffee. If they have a lot of work, sit down on a table, have their coffee as they're doing a lot of their work on a laptop or gadget, whatever they're using. And it keeps you engaged in this coffee shop. It broadens your mind, you know? Like, you're seeing a certain Mukasa out there is seated on that table, is having their cup of coffee, he's busy thinking, you know? And as I'm looking at them, I'm like, what is this guy thinking? Now it's already broadening my mind. So I'm also losing that as a barista. But also to mention, on the coffee side or the business side as a coffee shop, we've lost the income, talking about sales. Because now if you've been having like over maybe 3,000 clients, 300 clients coming over a day, and now you have less than 100 clients coming in coffee shops, even including the takeaway guys, you know, like we've had very many food deliveries companies come up. We're talking about Jumia, Glovo, Kampala Eats, a lot of them now in Uganda. But now if you're ordering, if you're having very many clients, actually not very many, few clients ordering online, it means part of your sales are decreasing, and also they don't trust what you're going to give them, because what they say on the internet, and that's now the thing that's most difficult these days. People or coffee shops, I won't mention names, they're putting these products online, you know, but they put their clear images, big in size, big in quantity, you know, but on delivery, it's totally different from what they have shown us online. So clients are losing like interest and the expectations of what they're supposed to get is not there, which has totally given us a different experience in the coffee shop business. Okay,
I like how you put that. Now, before we get into a break, I just want to ask you, Uganda is behind in the coffee culture, okay, and the coffee culture has just been growing for not a very long time, okay. I was on the internet and checking out some pictures of coffee shops around the world, and they are totally empty. Places where you'd have, you know, it filled with people, there are now 1 or 2 people, and I think in Uganda we are facing the same thing. Well, we'll take a break, and when we come back from that, we'll talk about the coffee culture and how it's being affected by that. This is House of Talent Television. This is the Coffee Break with me, Ateng Emmanuel, and Amon Mukisa in the studio. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to House of Talent Television. This is the Coffee Break with me, Atengi Manuel, and in the studio is Mr. Amon Mukisa, aka the Coffee Messiah.
Give me that name, like.
I was like the smile on your face when we say Coffee Messiah, yeah? You know, because someone said that you're trying to get converts, you're trying to get people who take tea and bring them into people who take coffee.
So that's why I'm called a Coffee
Yes,
Messiah.
the Coffee Messiah.
I just don't have the name Emon with me or Barista Emon.
Yeah, but it's things that stick. Well, after before we went for the break, we're talking about basically the coffee culture in Uganda. So the coffee culture in Uganda is not really full grown like it is in other parts of the world. Like I was telling you before, I was seeing videos and pictures on the internet where places like Italy, places like New York, you know, which are very famous for coffee, the coffee shops were empty. Okay, and I think it's almost the same thing here, where I think I went to Ndiro one day and there was like 1 or 2 people, yeah. And how is this really affecting the coffee culture in Uganda, seeing that it had started to grow, but now it's like if you have a baby who has started to grow, then you stunt their growth, okay? There's always a problem there. So how has the lockdown affected the growth of the coffee culture in Uganda?
Well, here's the challenge. We've been trying to get people to consume more coffee in Uganda. And now the pandemic comes in, which has brought many other things together, like to develop more cultures in consuming these beverages of coffee. Now that's where we're picking a culture of technology, which we're having maybe delivery companies, banks getting into touch with the delivery companies to make sure that they sort out the payment methods. That's also now one culture. But also the culture of taking good coffee. Like people have been trying to start taking that apple good coffee, the specialty kind of coffee. But now, these days, people now are getting back to taking bad coffee because they're making their coffee at home.
Yeah.
I have a friend called Justice. He said he's been making coffee. He's been trying to make coffee for 4 years. Not until last weekend when he made a good cup of coffee and he's like, oh guys, you know what? Now I've graduated for 4 years. I've been trying to get this cup of coffee, making it at home, and now I have it. You can imagine now how many people are going through that whole process of getting to learn how to make coffee. That's why I said at the beginning of the show that many people are trying to search, how can I make the best coffee? Because they've been having these good coffees in these coffee shops. Yeah. That person who used to go in, who was loyal to your favorite, who was loyal to that specialty coffee shop, no longer goes there, and now has started going through these other coffee shops, which are not even doing a specialty coffee. And believe me, they can't appreciate that, because if you have had something good, you can't appreciate something that's not good. You keep on saying, I need this, you know, True. I need my mocha, I need my Primula pour over. But when you go to a coffee shop, which is not a specialty coffee shop, and they give you a Primula pour over, and you're like, what am I taking? Am I even having coffee? You know, so those are the things that are affecting our coffee culture here, because we've really tried to build our coffee culture. Because now, just imagine someone at least has been able to spend maybe 50K a week on their coffee, because if 50K a week, that's maybe 10K per day if he's buying a cup of coffee. Now these days, it's gone back to spending maybe 20K. Yeah. So you see how we're trying to fail in building our coffee culture by the fact that this person now is not able to spend, which will be able to help me as a barista in terms of maybe my salary, because the more cups I sell, the more sales we make. And now I have the ground to make what? I request maybe my salary to be increased. Now, which means I don't have any ground. Also, that's the part of the culture. But also speaking about the employment bit. Many coffee shops have, you find in a coffee shop maybe a day, it has over 8 or 10 employees. You've included the servers, you've included the baristas, you've included the managers and the shift leaders. And now for the fact you find a coffee shop having maybe 3 employees. So you see how the rate of unemployment is coming in. And after lockdown, we're totally going to have challenge in building employment opportunities for these people, because coffee shops won't have jobs for these people. Just imagine now you've been making maybe around 10 million a day, and now you're making 1 million a day. For the sales bit, this person, this owner of the coffee shop, won't be able to maintain the 30 employees he's been having, which means he will have to cut the levels. So the culture of coffee has been hit so bad, which we've been trying to build.
Talking about unemployment, okay, I believe that any other sector really is going to be faced with a lot of unemployment, and the coffee industry itself is also going to be affected. Okay, like you said, you have situations whereby on a normal day you'd have about 10 employees, you know, depending on the size of the coffee shop. Okay, now you have 2, 3 employees, and those ones are the ones who can actually walk from home to work, and they also have to walk back. Okay, now as a CEO, okay, you're not making as much money as you used to. All right, so basically you have to make cuts here and there. You have to cut off some people. Okay, going forward, if you, Amon, were a CEO of, let's say, Amon Mukisa's coffee shop, I believe that you have that somewhere. So looking at you as a CEO, you know, going forward after the lockdown, okay, what explanation, okay, and what kind of explanation do you give to your employees? Because now you have to let them go, and they have nothing else they can really depend on. Okay, and are there any strategies that you as a CEO would put in place to ensure that you take care of the ones you're remaining with, and also the ones who are being cut off are also taken care of?
Well, Emma, for the fact is we are human, and we are meant to understand some things. Because just imagine now you've been an employee in a coffee shop, and you can't see that we're making that kind of money that we've been making on a daily. So if I come to you and explain to you that, you know what, Emon, the fact is our sales are very low. I will have to let some of the employees go so that I can maintain my coffee shop, because I have to be operating even after the lockdown. So this is where your hard working, your skills, your professionalism comes in. Because now this kind of person or the owner of the business will sit down with his management or board of directors, and they will like, okay, we have Amon here, we have Emma here, we have a certain DL there. Now between the three, who has been able to stand out in the way they have been working? So when I have more skills with when I have more skills more than you, Emma, which means I'll be considered and you'll be let down, because when I use you, I won't get the sales, or I won't make my client who comes in daily, this small number of clients who are coming in daily, because you have to handle them like an egg. The moment you give them bad service, the moment you give them the bad experience, you won't even have them, you know? So, which means I have to retain this kind of person who's giving the A-class experience to a client, you know? So, that's why business people have managers to monitor these kind of people in these coffee shops, because they were able to tell in such times of situations who is to retain, who is to go.
Well, I think it's a tricky situation, because imagine I stay far and I can't really walk to work, and you stay near the coffee shop and you can walk to work. So you can't really evaluate us, because I haven't been to work and you have been to work. So I think it becomes a very tricky situation, but we'll be discussing more on that when we come back from the break. Remember, this is House of Talent Television, the Coffee Break Show. Welcome back to the Coffee Break on House of Talent Television. Remember, like I said earlier, you can catch us on our social media handles at House of Talent Television. That's on Facebook, on Twitter, and you can watch us live on YouTube. Remember, you can also drop us a message. You can ask whatever questions you want. You can send, like Mr. Eddie always says, your kisses, your disses to the Coffee Messiah over here. I'll be glad to let him know what you guys are saying down there in the comment section with that big smile on his face every time we say Coffee Messiah. Amon, welcome back to the show. And before we went for the break, yeah, we were basically talking about the coffee culture and how it has been affected by the lockdown. We looked at how the baristas have been affected. We looked at how the farmers have been affected. And before we went off, we looked at how the CEOs have been affected. And we're asking the question of what happens when the lockdown is done and there's unemployment. The CEO is put in a position whereby they have to cut off some people. Yeah, and you said now that plays down to how good of an employee you are, basically how effective you are in the coffee shop. But before we went, I was talking about a situation of two people, okay? Let's say I stay somewhere in Nansana and I can't really walk to my work of place. You stay somewhere in Kamocha, which is really 5 minutes away from you, okay? Now, as a CEO, okay, you're basing it on productivity and you're basing it on knowledge of the coffee business, okay? But I haven't been coming to work and you have been coming to work. So wouldn't it be an unfair situation to cut me off and leave you as the person who is employed?
Well, before I answer that question, I'll be able to first give you this cup of coffee.
Thank you very much.
So you can have the favorite coffee known as a French press.
Which is made here live on the show by
So that's good. But to answer your question, well, as a business person, or as any business person, first of all, they want productivity. They want the coffee knowledge or the knowledge of any product they are selling. In this time, we're talking about coffee. So if you don't know about coffee, you're not productive enough. You know, you're not giving my clients the good experience they're supposed to have. Even though, my friend, you're near and you access for your 2 legs away from work to work, I won't get you. I'll be able to provide for this person who's coming from Nansana, but they are giving me everything that I need to make my business stand out from other businesses. Because it doesn't make sense to have bad service or have bad coffee in a coffee shop because someone is near, compared to having someone who's very far and I can provide for them, because at least the government has tried to give us alternatives. Okay, if I've allowed you to work partially, I'll be able to provide you means of getting to your workplace. Okay, will you be able to get a sticker? Yes. Will you be able to provide housing facilities for your employees? Why can't I get a certain place where I'm going to put this employee? Because if I'm paying maybe 200 shillings a room for this employee, and it's making me 500 a day, which means I'll be able to pay this guy's month of 200,
Rent,
but he's making me 500 a day. So why would you bring in this person who's making you maybe 100 a day and you're spending 300 a day? So it doesn't make sense over there.
Anyway, it's always a tight situation.
Very tight.
Even the person who's in Nansana might be an A-grade employee, so you know it puts you in a very tight situation. Yeah, but moving away from that, we spoke earlier about how we have now online services that are actually delivering food, delivering coffee, and delivering basically different foodstuffs to people, because in the lockdown you really can't move around. So we have Glovo, I think we have Jumia, we have certain restaurants that also have their own carrier services. Okay, now you've been put in a situation whereby people used to come to the coffee shop to enjoy coffee, okay? And even those who don't take coffee, I believe in coffee shops you have smoothies, you have tea, you have different kinds of drinks, okay? But now I'm seated in my home and I can order this drink, okay? I can get onto my phone app and tell Jumia that I need this from, let's say, Endiro Coffee or from a certain coffee shop, okay? Isn't this going to create a problem whereby people will not be coming back to the coffee shops anymore, because now I can really get it in the comfort of my home, okay? Why should I, walk to the coffee shop? I think that is where lockdown has put us. They talk about the new normal. So how will you deal with the new normal of people actually getting stuff at home versus them coming back to the coffee shop?
Well, some weeks back, I was having a conversation with my friend Jerry.
Yeah.
He's a good client of mine over there. And he was telling me, you guys should start having a conversation of what's the new normal going to be like and how can we adapt to that process, because things are not going to go back the way they were, because this pandemic has caused a lot of changes, some of them good, some of them bad. But to answer your question, here we're talking about how coffee shops are being able to cope up with this pandemic or in this lockdown, because the fact that they're not receiving clients or they're not welcoming clients into their premises, it's a very difficult situation for them. So the emergence of online deliveries or online companies, talking about Jumia, talking about Kampala Eats, Glovo, and more other companies. On the other hand, it's a good process, or it's a good thing, because they're being able to give services to our clients who are not able to come to coffee shops. But on the other hand, it's also a bad thing. How? Just imagine you've been able to come to a coffee shop, you move out of your home, go to a coffee shop, have that experience, have your mind broadened. But now these days you wake up at 7 on Jumia, they deliver for you a cup of coffee. You don't know how it has been made, you don't know how it has been handled. So I'm talking about like food safety, because most of the times, at least you get to see what the barista is making. How is he making my coffee? A few clients like what is his name? Jennifer is a good client of mine. Whenever we're making his cup of coffee, however much you have a number of clients on your table, I mean on your station, she will be able to wait to see you how you're making your cup of coffee, because she doesn't want any health complications in her cup of coffee. So such clients, you're giving them a hard time. They don't have a choice, of course, because they can't be able to move from their homes to their favorite coffee shops, and they can't bear bad coffee. You know, like me, I can't bear bad coffee, man. I can't be able to take any type of coffee anywhere. That's why I'm so picky when going to coffee shops. You know, so such clients are having hard time to decide whether to stay in this type of new normal whereby delivery companies are delivering foods for them in terms of health safety and also in terms of quality. Because just imagine, you've made your fresh cup of coffee here. This is a coffee shop. Let's say this is our station, having our coffee break here, and I've made my cup fresh. It's even the steam is even coming out. I'm like, I can't wait to dive into this cup. That's the experience you're having. And now the delivery company is also delivering this same cup of coffee to you. It's going, first of all, it's going to come when it's cold, maybe. Okay, you might put it in a flask.
Might be halfway.
Maybe halfway. Some forward. You don't know this person who's delivering it to you. You don't trust them. So that kind of trust is what we are losing, and it's what coffee shops are trying to cope up with.
Keeping with that new normal, okay, we've seen from that aspect. Now, technology has changed everything, okay, and I believe that during this time of lockdown, basically during the pandemic, people have had more time to integrate themselves with different kinds of technology, okay, as simple as Google, as simple as YouTube, okay. Now for me, who likes to do certain things by myself, okay, now I can't go to the coffee shop anymore. All I have to do is basically go to Google and type how to make a cup of coffee, or I go to YouTube and type how to make a cup of coffee. See, now if I can make the coffee by myself, okay, let's say I can make a French press like we just did here, I can make an AeroPress, okay, does it necessitate me to go back to the coffee shop?
Let me ask you, when you type into Google how to make a French press, they show you all the information, and you make it. Is it the same as the same product you're taking in a coffee shop? Made by your favorite barista. You know you trust them. Is it the same?
It might not be the same as made by my trusted barista, but this one is made by the trusted me.
No, it's the trusted you, but you know, there is that special touch. This person has gone to an institution and studied this. They are professionals in doing this program. It's like going to a doctor, man, and you're like, I'm feeling some headache, but I don't know what to do. Compared to going on Google and you're like, what should I take when I'm feeling headache? They will give you different various options, but you don't know the best one. So same applies to these online technologies or technology that has been developed over. I'll go to Google and type in, because if that was the case, I would also have gone to Google before going to school, and I'm like, okay, let me teach myself these things. But I went to an institution and I studied them. I put time. So which means I know what I'm doing compared to going to Google and search. Well, here's the situation. Companies that have online presence, banging it or having it right, because these companies have the audience that they can appeal to. Just imagine you have over maybe 100K followers on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You just have to post your cup of coffee, and people are following what you're doing, and you have this person there to direct them. Some companies actually do online things like tutorials. You stream it live with your clients, you're making a French press for them, they're following the orders, I mean the tutorial. So that's a good thing. That's when you have the online presence. But you, who's having maybe 100 followers on Facebook, and you try to make a tutorial, and you have 2 people on your Facebook Live, my friend, the client who's going to come in your coffee shop will be like, what you did on Facebook, and I went and watched that video. I didn't get that. So that's the challenge we are having with technology. And also maybe the other challenge is, I talked about the banks getting into partnership with software companies to at least make sure that payment methods are cleared out. Well, some people don't have bank accounts. They have their money on cash on them. So how do you advise such people? And they're good clients.
Mobile money. I have mobile money.
You have mobile money.
Yes.
Okay, you have mobile money, but also like the charges that come with it, you know. Some charges are very high that you can't even, like you're buying a cup of coffee maybe at 10,000 and you end up paying maybe 15,000. That's already an extra charge. So that's some of the challenges.
Yeah, so I like how you've brought the dimension of the extra charge. See, like I was saying, if I'm getting to YouTube, okay, and learning how to make a cup of coffee, or my favorite coffee shop has decided to put their presence online, and let's say every morning they're having a tutorial about this is how you make such and such a cup of coffee, okay? Now me who's making it at my place, wouldn't I be spending less per unit? Because let's say I've bought my French press, I've bought my coffee, and I can use it over time. I'm going to the coffee shop to buy something like a cup of coffee, let's say 10,000, 15,000, but you teaching me a tutorial to make it at home, I can make it at, let's say, 5,000. So I think it puts you, the barista, you the CEO, in a situation where by now, the only reason I have to come to the coffee shop is to appreciate you as the barista, to appreciate the time that you put in during your studying. But when it comes to the actual making of coffee, I've gone to YouTube University, and you know I've gotten accredited from there, so
you know
it puts you in a weird situation.
You see, sometimes we just need to take things the way they are, because that's the way they have been, and that's the way they will be. You know, have you seen videos where robots are making coffee?
Yeah.
Like it comes, it doses its coffee, it dumps it very well, and puts in a machine.
Yeah.
By the time you're taking to make this, the robot, the time it's taking to make this cup of coffee, it's taking 5 minutes. But I would take 2 minutes to make you a cup of coffee, and a good one. And you're not sure whether the robot is making you a good cup of coffee. So, I'm talking about your YouTube University. Look, I went to school to study these things.
Yeah.
I got a job, which means I'm being employed.
Yeah.
Why would you want to take away the job I have? Because of YouTube University, and I'm able to give you the best product. But it also goes back to the products, the quality. Because believe me, when you make yourself something and you're not good at it, you've been used to taking something good, the quality will differ compared to this person who knows what they are making. So it all goes down to the quality of something that you need. Yes, you'll be able to make that cup of coffee, have it, but when you're used to a good quality cup of coffee, you always come for it in a coffee shop. Yeah,
that's interesting. So in respect to the word quality, okay, because I believe that at the end of the day when lockdown is done, some people won't come back to the coffee shops just to have the coffee. There are certain qualities that they'll be looking for, let's say in a barista, certain qualities that they'll be looking for in a coffee shop. So what are some of these qualities that a barista should have and some of these qualities that the coffee shop itself should have that will pull these people back to the coffee shop after lockdown?
Well, I think we've mentioned them on the at the beginning of the show. One is skills, two, professionalism, and three, knowledge. That's all you need. Because when you're professional, you know how things are done. When you have the knowledge, you know how things are done. When you have the skills, you know how things are done. You know how you handle Emma if it comes with a complicated situation. You know how I will handle a certain client when it comes that they need a certain drink. So yeah, those are the three main things. Maybe for the coffee shop, first of all, the setting matters a lot. Third, secondly, the pricing. You know, because not every client is able to pay maybe 10K per day. So you have to make sure that you have different prices of beverages, the quality, the quantity in pricing. Like the beverages, for example, you have a French press at 10,000, but you also have an option of a coffee. You can get at 5,000. So those are some of the qualities coffee shops should adapt to.
Well, I think that actually puts us in a place where it becomes a very good topic to talk about, you know, qualities of coffee shop, qualities of baristas and people involved in that process. Well, after the break, we'll be coming back to talk about what people can do to get the coffee business back as we go through the lockdown. We'll get back right after this on House of Talent Television. Welcome back from that quick coffee break. This is the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube at House of Talent Television Live. You can also catch us on Facebook and on Twitter. Well, today we have been talking about the effect of the lockdown on the coffee business. We have gone through talking about the CEOs, the baristas, the farmers. We've talked about different dimensions and different ways that the lockdown has really affected the coffee industry. Well, with me in the studio is Mr. Amon Mukisa. Amon, I was about to say Coffee Messiah again, but I think we'll leave that for another day. As we come to the close of the show, because we're really out of time, what is the way forward? You know, we've been talking about all these effects, and I think most of them are actually negative effects. Okay, they're going to affect employment, they're going to affect numbers that are coming to the coffee shops, you know, the quality of service and all these things, the interpersonal relationships with the clientele. Okay, so from your perspective, as a barista and, you know, someone who works in a coffee shop, what is the way forward? Okay, how will we get people back into the coffee shops, and how shall we get business back running?
Well, one thing for sure we need to do, most coffee shops are not operating. That's the fact. The few coffee shops that are operating have their ground, like they've been in existence for forever, 10 years, 15 years, 13 years. So at least they have the capacity of holding the business standing for more than even 5 years, where they're not like making proper sales. But there are certain coffee shops that had just opened up, certain coffee shops that have been in operation, but they can't be able to hold them each other strong to live or to hold the business side of it. So here's the advice that I give you: make sure that your health points are very clear. I'm talking about the pesticides, because now you've been closed and you have your machines, you have your equipments in there, which means they're going to get certain pest cockroaches.
They have to spray.
Yes, they have to spray. Make sure that your machines are very safe. Secondly, hold your ground. Keep into the faces of people, you know, like at least once in a while, show us that you're still there. One place, I was having a conversation with a friend and he told me, this shop, I won't mention the name, this shop shouldn't have closed. You know why? It had just started, so it had to keep into the faces of people for purposes of branding. So at least once in a while, keep into the faces of people. This will show that you're still open, you're not closed for good. You know, and also keep checking on your employees, because you need to show them that you're caring about them. It's not only always about money, it's also always about humanity. Check on them. How are they doing? Once in a while, send them